Hey, hey, everybody, it's Alex. Um, Broadcasting from inside today because it's so hot outside. And I was actually getting ready for I thought I had another podcast I was going to do with a friend of mine today. And I had my days mixed up. So I thought, well, what the heck? I got everything set up. I'm here in my room, as you can see. I've got a nice little light blocker right there over that window. It's my favorite blue towel. But you got to do what you got to do. Um, and in these days of all of this internet broadcasting, people broadcast from all kinds of interesting places. I see it all the time, even with some of my the fanciest people that I see. A lot of them are in hotel rooms and bedrooms and wherever. Some of them are in trailers like I am, and you just got to set up where you got to set up. And it's too hot outside. I don't want to be sitting there sweating. And although I do miss the birds and the beautiful view, but it is what it is at this point. So let's talk about this week's fly fishing report on Lake Fork. Um, I haven't gotten out a lot yet. It's only Wednesday, and I generally, well, my Monday and Tuesday was taken up with other stuff, so I haven't been able to fish or do a video. So that's why I'm doing it today. And the way I've been catching fish lately is pretty consistent. And it'll stay that way all summer. I'm going out in the evening and I'm fishing top waters and I'm trying to fish as much as I can around vegetation, but they're just kind of everywhere. I'll tell you the one thing that is consistent, and that is that these fish are really hanging into structure. They're hanging next to any kind of stumps, any kind of structure, even an old dock. And I guess that's why they like that vegetation, for the same reason. So fish around structure, fish around creek channels and bends in the creek channels. Try to get down with your fly as far as you can. Now, my rule of thumb is that I want my fly to sink far enough that I can't see it. And when it's out of my sight, then I'm out of the sight of the fish. And so I tell you, if you try that enough, you'll see that you catch more fish by letting that fly drop a little deeper. I actually have started tying a little bit of lead onto my streamers to help them get down where I want them to get. And I'm not talking about real deep in Lake Fork. I don't have to go, but maybe 12, 15 inches down to get to that point. But it makes a huge difference as those fish, they sort of linger right down below that clear light, lit area. That's their cover. Their covers go down in that deeper water. When they see something swim over them, then they run up and get it. That's just kind of their cover this time of year. So make sure and let your bait, whatever you're throwing, get down below that sight line where you can't see it. And it's a good rule of thumb. Give that a try. I think you'll catch more fish if you do that. On your top waters, when you're fishing frogs or whatever you're fishing on top water, get let it give it a hesitation when you pop it. Give it a little hesitation, and if you've got feathers on the back of it or your silly legs or whatever you got on the back of it, let them do some of the work for you, because they will. Pop it, move it around, make it a little erratic, let it sit there for a minute. Now, a lot of times you can see bass if you're watching. I always watch behind my top water, because bass will come up and they will follow that thing out, not really just trying to figure out what the heck it is. And they'll follow that thing out and they'll just sit underneath it. And when it's just sitting there and those little silly legs are moving around, or you got something moving around like a tail, uh, a lot of times that's when they'll attack it. A lot of times I'm sitting there doing something, picking my ear wax out of my ear or whatever, and just not even paying attention to that thing. Or maybe I've got a little tangle. I'm trying to untangle. Something distracts me, and that's when I get my hit. Is when that has been sitting there for maybe 60 seconds or longer. So don't you know if you're untangling your line, keep an eye keep an eye on your top water because they may be coming. That might be when they get it. Maybe they're watching us. Maybe they watch us untangle and they figure that's when they're gonna get it. So um I haven't fished. I fished a little bit for brim on beds where I see beds. I keep a nice little 5 weight rigged up for brim fishing. So if I see a bedding area, I'll fish that. Of course, they're easy to catch, but the thing about those brim is they're in such shallow water. If you're real close to them, and probably just either way, if you're not close to them, one or two fish, you might get three off of it, but one or two fish you're going to quit getting bites once they've particularly if they're in an area where they get harassed a lot. They just get used to you. They know what to look for. They see their buddy fighting that thing, and then they they decide, all right, touching it, and they don't. So the rule of thumb would be to just keep moving on and keep. There should be plenty of brim beds around all of our lakes right now, and some of them have some big fish. Now remember, on those brim beds, the bigger brim are usually in the deeper water. So you'll see a brim bed that's real shallow up by the bank, and then off to the sides of it, it maybe the bank slopes down or changes depth somehow. Fish that area because that's where you're probably going to find the bigger ones. The bigger ones go a little deeper. Um, I know that's not always 100% the case. Nothing's 100%, but give that a try, and I think you'll be happy with that. Also, remember when you're catching those brim, watch your brim because these sneaky old bass will come up and try to take that brim off your hook. That's pretty fun. I actually had uh, one time grab it, and he kept doing it. I kept catching brim. The fish kept coming up and grabbing it, and so I decided to just let him have it and see if I could get him to swallow it. And he was probably 3, 4 pound bass, and he came up and he grabbed it and he's swimming around with it. And I'm thinking, boy, I got him now. He swallowed that brim. And of course, I get him, I'm fighting maybe for a few seconds and he spits the brim out, and that's that. But it was a lot of fun. Um, the catfish should be right dead in the middle of their spawn. You're just going to have to find them. We keep having these rainstorms and stuff come through. Our lakes come up. It's only about a foot and a half low now. It's come up from 3 feet, which is excellent. Um, but that's putting of course, the catfish are spawning this time of year that they spawn. And if you find one or two, you should find a bunch of them in an area. And so any kind of a small crawdad bait, a crawfish imitation, a small streamer that might look like a little minnow, or a smaller. I use a real small bait for them, and I catch plenty big ones. In fact, I've broken plenty of them off. And so try some sort of a small fish imitation. And once you find them, they're probably going to be in fairly shallow. I generally catch them no deeper than 4 feet. They're going to be up in the 2, 3 foot range, mostly, sometimes shallower. Um, and so fish those areas. You can get you a nice. I did the other day, and I was fishing a windy bank with a streamer, and the catfish kept coming up and bumping it. And they wouldn't grab it for whatever reason, but they kept bumping it. So I figured they're probably just on beds or something. Anyway, catfish are shallow. The brim are on their beds. Catfish are spawning. The bass are in their summer pattern now. You're going to find them, like I was saying, you're going to find them in midday. If you're out in midday, God bless you if you are, because it's hot. Lily pads can be really good, but what's even better is if you'll put on some sink tip line and you get down around those brush piles. and man, you can get torn up around those brush piles right now. The bat with bass, you might want to give that a try because that's really exciting. That could be a whole lot of fun for you. And now, I think that pretty well covers the fishing. The baits I'm using are like I normally do, streamers during certain times of the day. If I think I'm fishing for fish that are suspended, subsurface, and then of course anything like a little frog, a game changer is a good bait this time of year, especially a smaller one that looks like a little shad. They're excellent this time of year. Um, I would use a any streamer fish now on Lake Fork because of the watercolor. I think yellow and orange are very good colors right now. I think the fish can just see it better. And so I've had better luck with my yellow streamer than I do with a white shad colored streamer. So try some different colors and particularly after we've had these rains and the water's not really clear. It's really kind of after it's been really hot and had direct sunlight on it all day, it tends to have um, little algae in it. It tends to be almost a tiny bit cloudy, just discolored. And so try different colored baits because fish do see color and they'll see uh, colors differently in different type tints, the tint of the water. So give it a try till you find one that they can see and they're reacting to. Is my point. Anything that's going to imitate a little brim, that's a good combination. A baby bass is a good combination. Always try shad because we've had a massive shad hatch on this lake. We're going into creeks, and there's literally billions of them swimming in big schools. It's really something to see. And there's all kinds of smaller fish feeding on them. It's also really helped our sand bass. Now, I've been getting sand bass finally for the first time in 2 or 3 years. For some reason, this year we have sand bass that we're catching on Lake Fork. So that's a really fun thing, of course, on a fly rod. So now that those sand bass will hit anything that moves in front of them. But if you have a clouser that might be a have some silver in it, some orange in it, some red in it, a clouser is a deadly uh, fly for sand bass. So give the clouser a try. Now, one of the things I want to talk about today, I have two other quick things I want to talk about. One is alligators. That Lake Fork, and I know I talk about alligators a lot, but I'm and I'm not. They don't freak me out or anything like that. I'm fine with them. I feel fine being around them, but they can get aggressive. They can climb up in your boat. They'll do it. So you want to make sure that if you're sharing space with one and they come out. I had one come out on me 2 days ago. I was out on the lake. One came off the bank. He got 20 feet or so from my boat and basically escorted me for the next 2 hours up a bank I was fishing. He just stayed parallel with me, wouldn't let me out of his sight. And then he climbed up on the bank and he did a big alligator roar, and he did that vibrate thing where they vibrate and all the water comes out like you see on TV. That's what I saw. It was really amazing. I did not get it on video, unfortunately, but it was really something to see. But I also didn't know why he did it. I didn't know if he was warning me, if he was telling me he didn't want me going over that area. After he did that, he came off the bank, he came back out, and I just kept going. And he stayed right in front of me, running parallel with the bank for another 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then he eventually swam off. Now, I think that I can't. I very easily could have gone swimming that day because I was trying to watch the bank on one side of me and the alligator on the other side, and I was running into stumps because I couldn't see where I was going. And so, um, you just have to have a lot of respect, leave them alone, don't mess with them. I felt comfortable because I've had a lot of run-ins with Alec just this week. I mean, that was the third time I've had a run-in with an alligator just this week, and it's only Wednesday. And so, um, our lake is getting real populated with them, and there's of course lots of people out here. And I think, and they're normally they don't want to be around people, but they can't help it because there's so many of us out here. And so there's just it's inevitable that you're going to run into them, and it's inevitable that they're going to run into us. So be very respectful of them. um, I would just move away. You know, if they're coming out and kind of escorting you out of there like they were doing me, I would just sort of move away. Now, this alligator, this particular alligator is in the creek, back in the creek where I live. I'm real used to him, and I think he's kind of used to me. He's used to seeing my boat. He's used to seeing me fly fish down the bank. Doesn't seem to bother him too much, and I don't really worry about him too much. He doesn't, I don't do anything aggressive towards him. I don't tease him. I don't do anything like that. And so I haven't had a problem. And so be careful with alligator. I know that's a long-winded deal about alligator, but be careful with the alligators, please, for your safety and theirs, because we don't want them to get in trouble because they reacted to something that one of us does. Okay, let's talk about the heat. The heat is horrible. There's no nice way to put it. The heat is on. So be ready for it when you come out here. Use sunscreen so you don't start looking like I look and get all your skin burned off of you. Um, Make sure you have plenty of fluids. They don't have to be iced down. You want them, you don't want them hot, but room temperature, you can get more of them down, and you won't uh, have that brain freeze, or that sort of reaction your body has when you just all of a sudden you dump a bunch of cold water into it when it's real hot. And then just get out of the sun. When it's in the 90s and you're on the water and there's a little breeze and you just don't feel it. And so you're just gonna, I'll just keep going and going, and at the end of the day I'm cooked. Um my generation, I grew up not getting in the habit of doing protective clothing and stuff like that. So I'm paying the price for it now. My arms are getting little sunspots on them and little sores on them. I put cream on there and it kind of keeps it under control for now. But I now that it's getting as hot as it is, I'll start using sunscreen on my arms and legs and all my exposed skin. And I know that there's clothing now that people are wearing, and it's really comfortable. It's really good. It protects you from the UV. It helps your body feel a little cooler. Um, I don't know what it's called. You guys know better than I do, but I'm a big guy, and I can't find any of that stuff that feels comfortable on me yet. Now, I'm working on not being such a big guy. I'm working on becoming a smaller guy. Wish me luck. I'm going to try really hard to drop a bunch of weight and start getting a little bit healthier. And my cardiologist will be very happy to hear that. I think, or maybe not. Maybe not. Um, so be careful of the heat. Make sure that you're aware of when you overheat. How are you feeling? If you start feeling lightheaded, if you start getting you feel yourself profusely sweating more than you should, um, you've got to be careful if you're in a boat because you can pass out. It's happened. I've seen it happen. Now I grew up working construction sites. I am all about seeing people overheat. I've seen it many times. Um, we used to call it sunstroke. I don't know if there is such a thing as sunstroke. It's what we used to call it. But I've seen people get so hot that they pass out. And if someone is in your boat or your presence and they pass out from heat, lay them down and pour water on them. Pour water, particularly on their head and face, and try and cool their body down. Get them out of the sunlight, cool their body down. Um, that's the best thing you can do for them. They can drink water, that's fine. But if they're, of course, if they're passed out, they're not going to. But drinking water, that's going to help inside. That's cool. But you need to get that skin cooled down too. Just pour your water on them and help them get in the shade, get out of that sun, and into some air conditioning if you can. And then don't let them back out. Don't let them back out for another day or so. I mean, really, if you have a a heat related problem like that where you've overheated, don't just go out the next day and do it again. Let your body heal and kind of get used to it. And then go out early or later in the day. Don't go out in peak heat. Go out and let you need to acclimate to this heat. Now, if you're new to the area, and I know there's a lot of people that are, you have to acclimate. Even those of us that grew up here, you have to acclimate to this heat. And it's going to slow you down. It's just not the same as cold. You have to get used to it because it takes moisture out of your body. It stresses out your heart. It's really, really dangerous if you don't take care of yourself. So be careful, folks. Make sure you've got a wide brim hat, sunglasses that are polarized. This is if you're fishing, wide brim hat, polarized glasses, sunscreen, and lots of water. I hope this is helping you in your fishing every week. I sure enjoy doing it. I hope you'll consider subscribing and becoming part of the family of Fly Fish Fork, Fly Fishing Lake Fork. Um, I sure enjoy having feedback from everybody. I'm getting kind of a steady influx of people with questions and comments on these videos, and I really do appreciate it. I sincerely do. It's a lot of fun. I love meeting everybody, and I really appreciate everybody that's following us and having confidence in what I'm doing. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful, safe weekend. And if you come out to Lake Fork, give me a holler. Let me know you're out here. Have a good day. I'm trying to figure out how to turn it off.